He slowly speaks with a deep and steady
The freezer is full.
What does that mean? You open your eyes and find that he's holding you like a princess.
What to do next is up to you.
He gives you his mask. Then you feel a pain in your back. Hello, and welcome to Bloody Painter Dating Sim. This game was recommended to me by a lovely viewer, and I've actually streamed this before over on my Twitch channel. If you guys are interested in watching that, I'm going to put a link in the description for the VOD channel, and you guys can check that out with all the chat interactions and, of course, my lovely co-host, Timothy. Today, I'm going to be trying something a little bit different. As you can tell, Timothy's not here with me, and we don't have any overlays. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do a nice clean VOD for once. I know, it's crazy. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. If you guys prefer all the overlays and interactions, or just a clean VOD. Either way, I'll take a look whenever I get the chance. And I hope you guys enjoy this. Ugh! With a severe headache, you wake up in an unfamiliar place. As you touch the bruise on the back of your head, it seems you were hit by something heavy before you lost consciousness. A heavy iron chain tied around your feet. Someone has trapped you here. You try to remember what happened before you lost consciousness, but you can't recall anything. This is very Saw-esque, you know, we're like chained by the ankles. Let's investigate the surroundings first. Alright, let's look at the walls. The room is surrounded by 4 walls without any windows. It's weirdly cleaned up, and no ashes or sand can be seen. Looks like a prison built by a germaphobe. Where to investigate next? Oh, it seems we have our cell phone. No signal. It might be in a remote place or underground. There's a mattress on the floor. The mattress feels really hard to lie on. Alright, what about our meal? Let's look at that. Near the door, there's a serving of spaghetti with tomato sauce and a bottle of water. Also, a round plastic fork that's completely harmless was thoughtfully attached. I guess, to prevent us from harming him or us, I guess. Usually in these kind of scenarios, the food's always poisoned, so we should probably be careful about this. It's still warm. It feels like it was sent here not long ago. Let's look at the door. You peek through the keyhole, but you see nothing outside. I wonder where I am. Alright, well that was everything. Yeah. What's the next move? Yell for help? Listen? Knock over the meal or sleep? Let's actually listen real quick. You can't hear any sound other than your own breathing. The soundproofing in this room seems particularly good. Let's try yelling. Nobody answers. Let's knock over the meal. It's telling us to think again. I think we're not gonna do that. I don't want to upset the person, so we'll just sleep. You lay on the bed. You try to sleep under these conditions. Maybe it's the fatigue caused by nervousness, but you still fall asleep. You open your eyes after hearing some noises. A tall man wearing a mask is squatting on the ground looking at you with his head tilted. He remains silent as if he is sizing up his prey. He points to the plate on the floor, like indicating that you should finish your meal quickly. Thinking that the stranger man might have poisoned the meal, you shake your head in fear. Seeing you have no intention of eating, he looks quite distressed.
You can't die. Not now.
He slowly speaks with a deep and steady voice.
The freezer is full.
What does that mean?
The freezer is full and there's no space for more. 7 days.
Oh god, it's just like the ring. He pauses and thinks.
There won't be space until 7 days later. If you die now, you'll rot.
What do you mean? So I only have 7 days left to live? He nods and walks out of the door. Wait, you can't just leave me here like this, please. Your cries can't stop the door from closing. Day 1 night. Let's investigate the surroundings first. Okay, let's look at their meal one more time. Oh, this time it's a little bit more sparse. A bread and a bottle of water. About the door. You peek outside from the keyhole. You see the shadow of the man walking around. Seems to be busy with something. What is he doing? Sleep to end the day. Yeah. Please try to improve your survival rate within 7 days. Day 2 morning. Let's look around. Let's look at our meal. Oh, this time we've got nothing. Empty plate. Alright. You check the keyhole. You seem to see something. You see that there's a vague figure at the end of the door. Let's quietly observe. You sense something's wrong and realize what that is after narrowing your eyes. This is an artwork made of the human body, not a human being. Ah! You hear the door open. You slowly push the door and there's no trace of the strange man. First you go into a room with a large freezer, sink, and operating table. Then you open another heavy door. You find yourself in a room full of glass display jars. The jars are all filled with specimens made from human body parts. It's like you're in an art museum. Could it be that he wanted to freeze me as material for his specimen artwork? You're thinking. You seeing this scene. Admire the artwork. I think we have to, You look around and admire his work with relish. You look at them for 15 minutes straight.
Interesting.
You hear a voice coming from the corner. It turns out that the man has been watching you from the blind spot behind the glass cabinet. I like them. They're so beautiful. The man goes silent, with his head tilted for a couple of seconds after hearing your comment. He seems to be thinking about something.
Don't you consider it cruel or bloodthirsty to them?
No, I feel nothing at all.
You're such a weirdo.
You think, aren't you talking about yourself? After you have a tour of his display room, he locks you back in the small room you were in. You go to sleep to end the day. Your survival rate increases. Day 3, night. Until noon, you don't see breakfast or lunch being delivered, and you're already starving. You're waiting for him to bring dinner, but what you got is not dinner. Instead, you hear the door was opened. A light shines through the crack of the half-open door, looking like an intriguing invitation. You open the door and walk into that light. You first arrive at the room with an operating table outside of the door. But this time the operating table is not empty. There's a defrosted human corpse on it. The man pops out of somewhere. He unties the iron chains from your feet and hands a surgical knife in his hand to you.
First, where do you think the first cut should be?
His voice tone sounds cold, like the kind of a teacher who's giving a student a hard question on purpose. We can attack him, can't do it, stab the corpse. Maybe beautiful works always come with some sacrifices? Without hesitation, you stab the abdomen of the corpse with a knife. But due to the lack of professionalism, the lines you cut are crooked and ugly. And this is when he gets close behind your back and holds your hands. You're both holding the surgical knife, like you two are cutting a cake together. With his hands, the lines you cut become smooth and clean. You can smell an ocean perfume on him due to how close you are. It seems to be sprayed to cover up the smell of formalin. You can feel his warmth with your back, but his fingers are a little cold. His focus on cutting the corpse and your hand keeps moving under his lead. He could have killed you or ignored you, but he didn't. You start to speculate on the purpose of his behavior. Could it be that he wants someone who can ignore the cruelty in the process and understand him? You think. After the happy creative time ends, you're locked in the room you were in. You go to sleep to end the day. Day 4, noon. Until noon, you don't see breakfast or lunch being delivered. You're already starving. You notice that something is shining at the corner. A key. It seems like the man accidentally dropped it last night. You open the door with the key. You go past the operating table where you two spent creative time together last night. The display room. Then you discover that there's an unnatural, uneven marks from one wall to the corner. You find a trapdoor. After pushing the trapdoor, you see a normal basement storage room. At the corner of the storage room, you see a stair that goes up. It turns out that this is really an underground secret room. Hidden layer by layer with trapdoor. No wonder the sound insulation is so good. You walk up to the stairs and see a heavy wooden board. You push it hard. What catches your eye is the interior of a cozy cabin. Then you realize the heavy wooden board you just pushed is the back of a bookcase. You look around to find that there are some insect specimens everywhere in the cabin, and there's also a reindeer head specimen hanging on the wall. Then you walk into the living room. You see a young man with a handsome face and pale skin laying on the sofa. The ocean-scented perfume and the faint smell of formalin emanates from his body. It's him. He is the masked man who kidnapped you, but he is not wearing a mask at this time. His sleeping face has a ferocious expression. His neck is sweating, and he seems to be trembling. It looks like he's sick. At this time, you decide to stay and take care of him. You can't bear to leave him alone, so you reach out and touch his forehead. Oh, so hot. You try to find something to cool him down. Let's investigate. Let's go to the kitchen. The kitchen is spotlessly clean. Let's check the fridge. There are some ice cubes in it. These can cool down his body temperature. You find some clean towels in the kitchen cabinet. I can soak a towel in ice water and place it on this patient's forehead and cool him down. Let's go to the living room. The living room is spotlessly clean. Where did I check next? Let's look at the man. His expression is ferocious. He seems to be in pain. He's still having a fever. Sofa. You don't think it's good for the patient to sleep on a sofa, but you can't move him with your strength. Specimens. I feel like he did them all. The workmanship of these specimens is exquisite. Where to investigate next? Let's look at the photo frame. There's a photo frame on the shelf. It's a photo of him standing at the entrance of a judicial mental hospital with a man in a doctor's robe. Cocoa powder. There's a jar of cocoa powder and a cup on it. Let's make him a cup of cocoa. Lockbox. There's a box with a combination lock on it. Bookcase. You find some of his profile files in the bookcase. Name, Helen Otis. Gender, male. Birthday, October 1st, 1980. Okay, let's go back and enter the stuff for the lockbox. There we go. There's a note in the box that says... This is the link, by the way. This is the link to a YouTube channel, and they have like some document, or it's a link to a document, and it has several documents, and then there's a YouTube channel with an ARG looking video. I wonder what it means. The living room is spotlessly clean. Where to investigate next? That was it. Okay. He returns to the living room, wring out the excess water from a towel soaked in the ice water, and place it on his forehead. His ferocious expression gradually softened. You once again notice his fair skin and long eyelashes, and his slightly curly black hair. If you don't say he is a murderer, his sleeping face looks very harmless now. After a while, he wakes up to the scent of you brewing cocoa and sits up on the couch. He looks a little shocked. He looks around quickly and seems to understand what is going on.
Why are you doing this?
I want to ask myself that too.
You saw me faint and didn't choose to run away. You're such a weirdo.
Is there anyone weirder than you in this house? You can't help but bitch about him. You seem to see the corner of his mouth rising slightly for a few seconds, and the atmosphere between you relaxes. He doesn't drink the cocoa you brewed him. It seems he is still a little wary of you. Can you tell me who you are?
Bloody Painter. That's the name they gave me for my modus operandi. If you find it difficult to pronounce, you can call me BP.
Even though what he told you was just a nickname, at least you know how to call him now. After the brief conversation on the sofa, he does not lock you back in the underground secret room. Perhaps staying and taking care of him when he fell ill was enough to prove that you won't run away. You get up from the sofa and continue to look at the specimens, decorations in the living room. He sits on the sofa crossing his legs, picks up his book and starts reading.
By the way, you better not try to escape. There are traps all around the cabin, and only I know how to get in and out safely.
You sit on the sofa. Soon a wave of sleepiness comes over you. Today you fell asleep on the sofa in the living room, not in a cold underground secret room. Your survival rate increases. Day 5, morning. You see him busy cleaning in and out of the house early in the morning. I'll come help too. After finishing speaking, you pick up the rag and bucket and join the cleaning. But you can't really see where this almost spotless house needs to be cleaned. You're just taking a clean wet rag and wiping it on clean cabinets. Do you usually love to clean this much?
It would soon be covered with a layer of dust.
1 or 2 times a week, otherwise it would soon be covered in a layer of dust. I see. Although he doesn't talk much, his tone and voice give you a gentle feeling and don't make you feel nervous. You climb off the short ladder and wipe the high cabinets with a rag. Suddenly, a cockroach crawls out from the crack in the cabinet. You're so frightened that you lose your balance and fall backwards. You close your eyes. But what you get is not the pain of falling to the ground, but a warm feeling. You open your eyes and find that he's holding you like a princess. He catches you with the same old cold expression on his face.
Are you all right?
Perhaps to resolve the awkwardness, he asks, I'm alright, it was just a cockroach. Hearing the word cockroach, he puts you down. He takes 2 steps back from the cabinet you just wiped and then says calmly,
Don't come near here yet.
"Why?"
It's dangerous.
You can't help but chuckle at the thought of a murderer being afraid of a cockroach. Fine, whatever you say. The interaction just now makes you feel a little warm from this cold murderer. At least you see more of his reactions and expressions. This is a rare relaxation you haven't felt these tense days. He could have let you fall off the ladder, but he rushed over to catch you. Somehow, you feel that after these few days of getting along, maybe now you both have different ideas about each other than you originally had. It was only a clear relationship between a murderer who wants to hunt and a prey who's trying to escape. But now it has an extra layer of friendship, causing the interaction between you to have an indescribable sense of dissonance. Just when you pick up an old newspaper and prepare to wipe down the windows, you find a police car parked on the road in the distance. 2 police officers get out of the car and keep looking towards the cabin. At some point, BP is already behind you, looking out the window with you.
Wait for a second.
And then he walks out of the door to talk to the police officers.
Is there anything I can help you with?
Are you Mr. Ortiz?
Yes, I am.
Have you ever seen these people around here? The police officer takes out some photos from his pocket.
Have these people committed a crime and are running away?
No, these people are the missing people around this area.
I haven't seen them before, but wolves and bears often appear around here.
Can we check out your cabin?
Yes, come in.
BP behaves very kindly and politely. After speaking, he leads the way for the police officers.
Please, follow my footsteps. I placed some traps near the cabin to protect against wild wolves and bears. You don't want to step on them.
The police officers enter the house and see you. Hello, this is,
An old friend who came to visit me recently.
You greet the police officer with a smile and a nod. At the same time, a police officer quickly looks through the missing person's photos in his hands. Then he puts the photos back in his pocket. It seems that your disappearance has not been discovered by anyone yet. You stand next to the bookcase, blocking the entrance to the secret room. After searching around, the police officers find nothing unusual and leave. His trust in you increases. Today you still sleep on the couch in the living room instead of the cold basement. Half asleep, you hear the sound of someone approaching. When you notice it, the person seems to be very close to you. You pretend to be asleep, and the person just looks at your sleeping face quietly. The man stretches out his hand and takes it back just as he's about to touch your hair.
Just
He turns around and leaves. Day 6, morning. You see him busy in the kitchen for a while. Then, breakfast is served in front of you. There's a piece of toast with just the right crispiness on the large round plate, a poached egg on top of the toast, and some lettuce salad. The plating looks delicious. The drink is a cup of freshly brewed hot cocoa. The cutlery he gives you is still a round plastic fork with no offensive features. You sit at the dining table and start eating, while he sits on the chair opposite of you and flips through a book. It's still snowing outside, and listening to the squeaking sounds of the fireplace, the atmosphere in the cabin is particularly comfortable. As long as you ignore the fact that you're in the same room with a murderer who kidnapped you, everything is relaxing. You look at him, who is full of mysteries, and some questions arise in your mind, and you decide to ask carefully. Can I ask you something?
what is it?
What books do you enjoy? Pick up the book next to you. What works? What are you gonna use me for? Malpunctions. You ask bravely. He looks up at you for a moment.
I was going to make you into some kind of doll at first. Your eyes are beautiful, but if they are left alone, they'll become rotten and sunken. So I would like to dig your eyes out and put them in a glass jar and soak them in formalin to preserve them. Glass beads will be placed in the empty eye sockets to replace the eyes. You look very pleasing to the eye, so I would also like to keep the head intact.
Stop, this is terrible. Thanks for the compliment.
You're welcome.
Why did he say it first? Has his mind changed? You're curious, but you don't have the guts to ask any further. What books do you usually read?
Usually, I would read some anatomy and taxidermy books, but today is different.
What are you reading today?
The Truman Show.
What is the book like?
The whole world that the protagonist lives in, including himself, is all just someone's creation. Everything that happens is watched by the audience, and there is no privacy at all. But he is completely unaware that he is in such a large theater. Very ridiculous, right? I can't imagine this to happen in reality, or to me. If our world was like the Truman Show, how would the audience view the current situation?
Must be unforgivable. Must be excited.
Excited? Why?
They may be attracted by your charm and want to be killed by you.
Incomprehensible. But what a bunch of weirdos with good taste.
It's hard to tell from his poker face whether he's seriously boasting or just joking. You pick up the book next to you and start flapping through. It's a book about the possibilities of having a completely opposite version of yourself in a parallel world. If there's a complete opposite version of you, what do you think it would be like?
Oh, that book. Let me think. Probably a guy wearing a burgundy coat and always having a smile on his face.
Why is it a burgundy coat?
Because I like blue. If he is the opposite of me, he should like red, right?
I saw many potted plants on the shelves in the living room, but why were they all withered?
I have tried my best. I don't know why they always die.
Seems to be it. Day 6, noon. It's noontime. To thank you for making breakfast for me today, let me make lunch in return. He frowns at you with an expression like, are you out of your mind? Don't worry. You said there are traps outside the house. Only you know how to get in and out normally. Even if I resist you with a knife, I can't escape.
Okay, but I'll keep an eye on you. Don't try anything stupid.
Great. As for what to cook and the ingredients, well... A bad idea flashes through your head, and curiosity makes you ask. Do you eat human flesh?
No. Why would I do that? I just use human bodies as materials for making art, and I never think about eating them.
I thought you murderers all had some degree of cannibalism.
Let's put it this way. Do you eat paint and painting tools? Just because I kill people to use as materials to make works doesn't mean I will eat them. Also, I'm different from those who have fun committing a crime and kill purely for the sake of killing. Don't confuse me with that kind of unprincipled guy. I wouldn't do anything unless necessary. You are here only because you witnessed the crime scene.
I see. After hearing this, you decide to cook human meat dish. Huh? Or cook a common dish. Let's go with common dish. You look at the ingredients in the refrigerator. There are some eggs, tomatoes, white rice, and some curry powder on the shelf. Okay, I've decided. You turn on the oven and start to cook. PP watches the entire production process rather than worrying about escaping. He's more worried about you blowing up the kitchen. Soon after, a normal curry omelette rice was served. He stares at the omelette rice without saying a word. Don't worry, there's no poison. Weren't you watching the whole process? He starts to move after you finish speaking. He takes a spoonful of omelette rice and puts it in his mouth. What do you think?
It's surprisingly quite delicious.
What's wrong?
Nothing. It's just that no one has cooked for me for a long time.
I can make you more if you like. You had a fairly pleasant afternoon. Day 6. Late at night.
Hey!
You are woken up from your sleep by the man. His face is close to you, and his blue eyes are staring at you. What's wrong? You sit up on the couch and rub your eyes.
Got to go.
Gotta go?
I've noticed something unusual about the number of police cars patrolling nearby recently. They must have some relevant evidence and are doubting it. It is very likely there is an ambush outside. It's snowing heavily outside now, and I think it's time to leave now. Come with me or not. It's your choice.
Let's go with him. What do you want me to do? I'm fine with both choices, but I need you to look me in the eyes and tell me, what do you prefer me to do? You stare at his eyes.
I prefer.
He hesitates to speak and looks away, looking like he's thinking about something. Hold his hand. Your behavior makes him a little panicked, and he doesn't seem to be good with this kind of situation. You notice that his ears are flushed, and this unexpected reaction makes you want to tease him just a little bit. What do you prefer me to do?
I prefer.
After a moment of silence, he slowly speaks.
That you come with me.
He tries hard to look you in the eyes and speak his thoughts.
We'll set off early tomorrow morning.
Day 7.
Follow my footsteps.
You follow the shoe prints he leaves on the snow and finally succeed in avoiding the many traps around the cabin. Just as you are walking through the forest, you hear a movement behind you. Freeze! In the snowstorm, several police officers were lying in ambush, chase after you. You ignore them and keep running forward. Bang! A gunshot shoots across the sky, and you feel a pain in your left calf. You are shot. He turns to look at you, as if he's considering whether to leave you. Run! You yell at him, but he approaches you, and he holds you in his arms. You feel a warmth on your forehead. He kisses your forehead. You feel the time freeze at this moment. The kiss is almost like a goodbye. And he leaves you and runs forward, disappearing into the heavy storm. You are later taken back to the police for questioning. You say throughout the process that you were a victim. On that note, you're not lying. You don't reveal any unnecessary details. Since there is no relevant evidence to prove that you are an accomplice, the police can only release you after a long period of interrogation. After that, 2 years passed. Now you live in a cheap little apartment. You live an ordinary life as if nothing had happened 2 years ago. Today is Halloween, and every household nearby has put some thought into making decorations. But for you, it's just another day at work. You return to your apartment after getting off of work in the evening. The strange thing is that as soon as you open the door, you feel a gust of wind. You remember that you closed the window before going out. Just when you're about to close the window, You find a gift left by someone on the table next to the windowsill. A red rose. You don't know why, but you have a feeling that BP has been here. Every Halloween after that, you receive a rose at your residence. It's like a once-a-year greeting. Although he says nothing, the rose seems to tell everything. Although you have certain similarities, you are two people from different worlds after all. Perhaps living your own life this way is the best outcome for both of you. Good end. 4-2. Different worlds. Alright, now we're gonna do the other endings and see what happens if we feed him human meat. Alright, let's cook a human meat dish. Can I try cooking human flesh?
Are you serious? Why do you do that?
I'm quite curious about the taste of human flesh. Haven't you ever been curious about it?
No, never thought of it.
This also helps you get rid of any unnecessary materials, doesn't it?
I do have some useless cuts of meat in the basement freezer.
Great!
By the way, I won't eat it.
He says, but still takes you to the basement to open the freezer and take out a piece of human thigh meat. You turn on the oven and start to cook. Evie watches the entire production process. Rather than worrying about you escaping, he's more worried about you blowing up the kitchen. Not long after, a roasted human thigh steak appears on the table. He stares at the human steak on the table and has no intention of eating. What's wrong?
You go ahead and eat. I have no appetite.
Fine. You cut the human steak into a size that fits your mouth. Put a piece into your mouth. The human flesh tastes firm, very chewy, and has a distinct beefy flavor. It tastes a bit like venison. Although it's delicious, it's difficult to chew, so you chew it for a very long time. BP frowns and sits aside, watching you eat with gusto. It's really delicious. Wouldn't you like some?
No.
He continues to watch you eat with gusto. At this point, your fork accidentally falls to the ground. You bend down to pick up the fork that had fallen to the bottom of the table, then raise your head to continue eating. You look at your plate and notice that there seems to be a piece of meat missing.
Not bad.
Did you say something?
Nothing.
He licks his fingertips and says, "You had a fairly pleasant afternoon." Day 6, late at night. Alright, let's go with him. But this time we won't hold his hand.
I prefer.
Do nothing.
If I take you with me, you might become a burden in the process. But if I don't take you, it will be even worse if you reveal my information to the police.
He calmly analyzes the situation.
So you might as well come with me.
Day 7.
Follow my footsteps.
You follow the shoe prints he leaves on the snow and finally succeed in avoiding the many traps around the cabin. Just as you walk through the forest, you hear movement behind you. Freeze! He turns to look at you as if considering whether to leave you. He approaches you. And he holds you in his arms. Then you feel a pain in your back. The hand he is holding around you from behind has a sharp blade. He pierces your body with that sharp blade over and over again until you lose consciousness. Everything becomes dark. Until just now you realize that you chose to follow because I want to follow him. He and I are the same kind. I want to follow him. You wake up from a nightmare and you are lying on a comfortable bed. You look around and find yourself in a cozy looking room with specimens hanging on the walls.
Are you alright?
The man asks as he opens the door. I'm alright. 2 years after that. That night 2 years ago, even after you were shot in the leg, the two of you continued to run forward in the snow. Fortunately, the wind and snow were strong enough to cover up your whereabouts, so you were not caught up. After that, you came to another remote mountainous area and rented out another cabin to settle here.
If you're fine, get up quickly. I will need your help in today's creation.
Yes, teacher.
Bring me the bone saw.
Okay.
Iron in the blood will trigger a luminal reaction. Any area with bloodstains outside should be wiped with hydrogen peroxide at least 3 times. Wiping blood-stained areas with hydrogen peroxide reduces the luminescence, but when it's dark, it still glows obviously to the naked eye. So, try not to leave bloodstains anywhere other than the basement.
Got it.
Good girl. You're learning fast.
He teaches you carefully, every step, every detail. You assist him in cleaning up crime scenes and assist him in completing his creations. During the day, you pretend to be a good citizen under false identities, and at night, in a place where people can't see you, you create creations that are outraged by both humans and gods. The paranoia of art, the clean and neat killing method, the cautious and intelligent thoughts, the neat and invisible crime scenes. You are obsessed with everything about him, and he is the person you long to follow. You long to become the second him under his leadership. He is a good mentor. Rather than pampering his disciple, he prefers to use guidance to let you learn freely. You have become a pawn that he is proud of. For him, you would do anything. Until an accident occurs while committing a crime, his legs were permanently injured, and he can only walk with crutches since then. He is already in his 40s at this time, but you feel that the traces of time make his elegance even more charming. Just when you think that the bloody painter's evil deeds have come to
Take
an end.
it. I have nothing left to teach you.
Teacher, what do you mean by that?
You seem to like this mask very much. I don't think I'll use it anymore, so I'll give it to you. What to do next is up to you.
He gives you his mask. You look at the mask in your hand and seem to understand the meaning of the teacher's words. You think to yourself that maybe your encounter with him years ago was just for this moment. I won't disappoint you. The legend continues. Good end. 443. Master and disciple. He and I are the same kind. You wake up from a nightmare and you are lying on a comfortable bed. You look around and find yourself in a cozy looking room with specimens hanging on the walls.
Are you alright?
The man asks as he opens the door. I'm alright. 2 years after that. That night 2 years ago, even after you were shot in the leg, the two of you continued to run forward in the snow. Fortunately, the wind and snow were strong enough to cover up your whereabouts, so you were not caught up. After that, you came to another remote mountainous area and rented another cabin to settle here.
I heard someone talk very frequently in her sleep.
I was just having a nightmare. He sits on the edge of the bed and strokes your cheek, his forehead touching yours gently.
Don't worry, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing more dangerous than me here.
He is right. If you are just an ordinary person, you should be worried about the murderer living under the same roof as you now, rather than a nightmare. But you are not an ordinary person. You are cold-blooded and emotionless as he is. You two are equally evil, but this makes you both find a sense of belonging in the other. Living with others made him feel uncomfortable at first, but living with a crazy person like him doesn't make him feel uncomfortable. Because you can always quickly know what the other person is thinking, and you also know clearly what the other person's boundaries is. You live under the same roof, but you don't interfere with each other. He continues to commit crimes, and you sometimes participate on a whim. You have each other by the short hairs, and you know that if you expose each other's crimes to the public, then you will be finished too. So you more or less cover for each other. You have a strange symbiotic relationship where you sometimes dislike each other and sometimes deceive each other, but you also have absolute trust in one another. Two madmen keeping each other company. Good ending. 4-4, Madmen's house. Alright, now we're gonna get the last ending. So, we're gonna stay. I wanna stay and live a normal life. Do you think that this crazy journey should just not go on anymore?
Okay, I understand.
Suddenly, his face slowly moves closer to you. Just when he's about to touch you, he takes a piece of cloth and covers your mouth and nose hard. After struggling hard for 2 to 3 minutes, your consciousness gradually becomes blurred. When you open your eyes, you're back in the basement again. You are tied to a chair and you can't move your body. You try to break free, but you fail. The rope is tied very firmly. You hear someone's footsteps getting closer to the door. The door opens. He walks in slowly, holding something behind his back. He moves closer and closer to you until he's at your ear. You can hear his breathing and your own heartbeats. You close your eyes out of fear. You can feel that he's scratching your skin softly with the back of his knife, and the cold metal stimulates your nerves. His palm is holding the back of your neck through his gloves, as if he is studying your face and thinking about where to cut it. Fear boils inside you, tears filling your eyes unconsciously. Suddenly, he fiercely holds up the back of your neck, forcing you to look at him in the eyes. He slowly speaks with a soft tone in your ear.
If you stay here, you might reveal my information to the police. The risk of keeping you alive is too high. But even if I say I want you to come with me, a normal person like you will leave me one day eventually. I quite like you, and if it's you, I would like to turn you into a work and put you somewhere I can see you every day. It's you who made me realize that I might be more selfish than I thought. Don't worry. I'll saw your head off as material for artwork and visit you every day. Thank you for spending these few days with me. I felt quite at ease. We'll have more time to spend together in the future.
The red flower flows from the neck. Day 7. Now you can neither feel nor think. Everything becomes dark. Your body and your skull are separated. He finds a new place after he takes your head and leaves the cabin. He carefully makes your head into a specimen, and your eyes are replaced with glass beads. You are made into a beautiful but also creepy doll, and he visits you often. You become his favorite work. You are with him forever in the form of art. Good end. 4-1, favorite work.
Where do you think the first cut should be?
Alright guys, I believe this is the only bad ending. Well, they're probably all... I've done all of these and they're all the same, so... the only bad ending, I believe, is if we attack him with a surgical knife. You turn around quickly to try to stab him with a surgical knife. But he seems to already know you would do that and holds you down quickly.
You were indeed pretending.
He locks you back in the small room you were in. There's no such chance ever again after that. You can only eat the meal he sends every day and wait for the 7th day to come. Bad end. 6 of 4. Smartass. Alright, I believe this is another ending. There's actually 6 bad endings, but I'm just gonna do this one since I think the other ones are pretty simple. You just get caught. So we'll knock over the food. You make the room messy and dirty with food. Nobody answers. Alright, we sleep. Lay in the bed, you try to sleep under these conditions. You fall asleep. Hey, tall man, wear your mask. squatting on the ground looking at you with his head tilted. He looks extremely displeased. You notice the mop and the bucket he brought with him. Who are you? Why did you abduct me? He starts to clean up, ignoring your questions. After a while, the dirty room becomes clean, and he doesn't forget to spray alcohol everywhere to disinfect when he's done. Day 2 morning. The first day passes. You feel very hungry, but there's been no food or water sent since that day. Sometimes when you're so hungry that your stomach hurts, you can only use your arms to press your stomach hard to relieve the pain. Day 3, night. The third day passes. There's a chill in your limbs and you can't muster any strength in your hands and feet. You need to replenish calories to maintain bodily functions, or else you'll faint. Day 7. A week passed. You're lying on the bed in the daze with only one breath left. In a trance, you hear the sound of the heavy gates being opened one by one, and then its footsteps getting closer to you. You feel that your body is in the air. It seems like someone has picked you up. You think it would be great if it's the police coming to rescue. The possibility makes you fall asleep in peace. But you never wake up again. Bad end, 6-1. Messy is unacceptable. Well, that is it, guys. We can get the other bad endings, but they're not very interesting. Those are the most interesting ones. But yeah, guys, that was Bloody Painter Dating Sim. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I tried not to make too many comments during the video. If you guys want me to be more active in it, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you guys want to see more. And of course, in the comments, let me know if you guys prefer this style of video editing or this style of videos over the other. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today, guys. Thank you for watching and have a good one, guys. Bye bye.